the gentleman that I was speaking to under Adidas was basically, and the representative under Adidas was saying that we were waiting on Kanye. And at that point, that's when Kanye was going through, I don't know, hell and back. I don't know. It was just going through a lot. So no movement was being done in those positions. And therefore, it ended up just decimating, like basically disappearing because they couldn't do anything. But they were like, hey, you know, if it does come back up again, like, we want to consider you. And at the same time, they were also trying to bring on Drake.
Yeah, it's always one of these things where, like, when I'm doing this show, since I set everything up myself, it's always it makes me a little bit nervous, like when I decide like we're starting, because I'm like, okay, I hope everything's like actually set up correctly, and later I'm like, oh no, I did it all wrong.
You're all good, man. That's how it works. Yeah, so that's how I've been doing. I'm running every part too, so you know.
Yeah. So here, I just have it going already, so we can just start talking. But yeah, so you just said you're doing everything yourself. So I know before you were designing shoes mostly through modding them and whatnot. So is that the main sort of work you're doing right now?
I still am doing that. I have a new platform. It's a direct-to-consumer platform called Aircapture. Yeah. A lot of it came through from my personal experience of designing and building shoes, conceptual shoes that you've already known. And I've gotten a lot of like people who come up to me asking for mentorship, or they're always asking like, hey, like, how do I even get into the game? And at that point I was like, man, I'm just going to create a platform to help people, not only myself, but for other people too. So, cause I've dealt with a lot of manufacturers that sucked. So I'm like, I need something for me that I can still produce without having to wait on manufacturers overseas, because that stuff is a pain. But I'm not the only one running. I have another partner of mine that works with me. Her name's Tony. She's dope. Been in the fashion game for some time, doing her own thing. And I told her, like, let's jump on board with me with Aircapture, bro. Like, let's do some dope stuff. So
sweet, yeah. So I might wind up having you repeat yourself a little bit, just because I know so little about this world.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
you good.
So you said it's direct to consumer. So that means like the people and the facilities that are making the shoes are the same ones, like shipping them out. Basically, there's like less of a middleman.
There's no middleman. It's actually self-automated. So like, it's literally Nike ID on steroids meets Netflix. So you're browsing your library of footwear that you either upload yourself or the company in itself, which Aircapture, us. Like, we upload stuff for you guys or for the users that we think are dope. You know, mainly we want the users to be able to like, and when I say users, I mean people who've downloaded the app, because that'll eventually be something that they'll do. It's an app base. But those who downloaded, they're the one who are building their library, and you're able to browse and see which type of shoe that you want to like build a bear off of. And I say that because it's the simpler way to say it is you're literally building your kick.
Gotcha. So would you say it's focused mostly in like having customizable shoes?
Literally, yeah. It's literally, I mean, it's not to the extent of like, a lot of people when you think about it, they're like, oh, that's a Nike ID. And that's why we say, yeah, we're Nike ID on steroids, because Nike ID only allows you to do so much. They give you certain silhouettes to work with, and then they give you certain colors, and that's it. Ours is like completely without restraint. Like, if you want a Puma mixed with a Reebok, bro, like, and you want to like fuck it up and put some dope ass shit on your tongue or whatever, like Adidas, like you're building it on your own, and it's really big on ownership. Like, I'm big on ownership. We seen that what happened with Mischief. You know, they came up with the shoe with Lil Nas X, and they had to Nike came back and just bought all that shit back. So at the end of the day, like, it's really trying to build the community of people who want to create sneakers and own that shit, like, and not have to worry about somebody else or 50 other thousand people wearing the same stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know, something that's like been interesting for me getting to know you better over the years is just, you know, a lot of this stuff has been foreign to me. You know, growing up, I honestly never considered shoes or really even fashion in general. And, you know, the older I've gotten, the more I've realized like all these different worlds are kind of, you know, microcosms that people put like infinite depth into, you know, so the shoe world is so much bigger than I would have realized as like a high schooler. So maybe just to like zoom out a little bit and just start with like who you are and how you got started. So I think I saw that you've been doing this for like 17 years or something like that. Like
it's been a minute. I've been designing since college, low key. I feel like that's when I gained most of my interest. I was wanting to be an athlete, I grew up thinking like that was going to be my main thing, that my main occupation, or that was going to be something I was truly going to fall in love more with. And I ended up falling more in love with design. And I got introduced by a mentor of mine who was like, yo, you're always talking about kicks, man. Why don't you start into footwear? So that's how it originated. And I got it through college from running track and doing stuff, traveling, seeing different silhouettes and stuff, and always wondering why Arizona was so late to the game when it came to sneakers. So that's kind of like where I was like, yo, I'm going to make my own kick. And then seeing that there was a lack of women, that made it even more stronger for me to go into it even further. But yeah, I've been doing it for some time, man. Like, and I'm seeing like other people are getting into it even further, like the people that we look up to in the footwear game. But I'm still seeing less of us. It's still not a lot of like me. There's not a lot of like women either. So that's really what pushed me to really kind of go into this field.
What sort of tools and materials, like what sort of things do you need to get started? Because I know a lot of the stuff you're doing is very hand done. Like like for instance, you're modding like existing shoes to make like a whole new thing. So I assume like you're going to have like maybe a drafting table, maybe like a box cutter to like, like you're sewing things up. But like how do you even approach getting started with that?
Yeah, no. Well, a lot of people start off. Well, for me, I started off with, like you said, I bought a shoe, like going to the mall, right? And then, I'm conceptualizing in my mind or designing through paper, like how would I like this shoe to look, or what would I want it to look like? And, at one point I was doing using a lot of scratch paper. That's what they say in terms of design, using a lot of scratch paper and just coming up with all these designs. And then from there, or concepts, and from those concepts I start building. I've now kind of taken that route as more of like a rapper does when they're going into the booth, and without having to write their lyrics, they're just spitting, and I'm doing that with my product. So now I just buy the product and I'm like tearing apart pieces, and the pieces that I don't use, I'll use for another project that I think will be dope. But most of the times it's off the dome of like, oh, let me put this together, let me cut this. But honestly, it's, like you mentioned, is the X-Acto knife, the sneaker in itself. If you have several other shoes that you think you can add to it, that's another thing. It's not necessarily any machines at that time from what I've used. I mean, at one point I was going to ASU and going into their maker's lab and just trying to see if I can like get things cut and try to adhese it together, because that's another big part of it. So
gotcha. So it sounds like when you're messing around with these shoes to make a pair, through that you'll wind up with loose materials that you can then repurpose for later.
Yep.
How do you go about even like storing that? I feel like that could get messy like so fast.
It is messy. I'm normally it's in box. My mom calls and complains a lot. She's like, hey, you have a box of just scraps of shoes, you want me to throw it away? And I'm like, no, I need those things, but it is messy. And and that's another part of the reason why I think it's good to know through the steps of knowing like, okay, there's a lot of loose scraps that maybe I potentially will use and maybe I potentially won't use, but now it's causing trash to the house. So what do I do with that? You know what I mean? And but no, storing it, my mom has it, I have it, my fiance has it. So I'm sure they're hitting me right now.
It sounds like good in the name of sustainability, though. Absolutely. Because, like you are producing whole new things, but you're not really needing to, produce more materials to do it.
Right.
When you were first starting off, how long would it take you to make a shoe or a pair of shoes, like just a single unit?
Right. If I'm such a perfectionist, so it really depends. I can get it done in a day. I can get it done in 30 minutes. But if I'm sitting there like, yo, I really want to wow this person like even more, and I want to take my time on it, I give myself about 4 days to develop for sure. But that's about it.
Okay.
Nothing longer than that.
So, if you're one person spending 4 days on a pair of shoes, and now I'm hearing you say, like, with Aircapture, the new thing, people are making highly specific orders and requests. How do you do that at scale?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm partnered with RLP, which was an extension to MIT's self-assembly lab. They do a lot of our R&D, work, anything that we want to kind of investigate or any work that we wanting to reinvent the wheel, we go through with RLP. And they've been our strategic partners for a minute right now with the launch for Aircapture. But honestly, through them, the scaling is quite easy. You can make, with Aircapture, you could develop a shoe within 10 to 20 minutes. That's how quickly you can make it. That's manufacturing wise. Compared to a traditional way, it's like 6 weeks to 9 weeks, depending. And then whether if that's even done correctly when it gets back to you, whether if you got to send it back again for them to reiterate the same thing or just redevelop it in the way that you want it or the way that they thought they comprehended, they're fixing it. So for us, not that it doesn't take that long. And for anyone to make more, like say you're like, yo, you got 100 people doing it. We actually have, the process starts with a gel suspension that's in it's like a 3D printer.
Okay.
But it's a gel suspension machine where it takes away the gravity, so it makes the process faster. And then on top of that, because it's manualist, it's not necessarily needing someone to like cut or take pieces out. Most 3D printers or 4D printers, they're essentially only manipulating one piece. Ours is one piece of like material that's developing a product like from the bottom on up to the top of the sneaker. So
okay, wow. Yeah, so it sounds like it's all just kind of done mostly through like automation now.
Very much automated, yeah. And that was the whole purpose. It wasn't something that I didn't want to push for anything manual, and a lot of it having to be like in overseas. We don't know what the process over there is. Very compression injection molding. It's a lot of like, there's at least 65 components to a shoe, and there's 360 assembly processes that a shoe has to go through, one pair of shoes. So it's more or less trying to eliminate that and eliminate the idea of fossil fuels being put into the air, eliminating obviously the carbon footprint, very much greenhouse emissions. We're trying to really eliminate that and kind of compose all this in one by a click of a button. That's kind of what I wanted to do.
Sure. Yeah. No, it sounds like a really noble effort. It sounds really complicated too, though. So
it is.
how long have you been working with your partners on this project? I imagine it would take years, right?
Yeah, it did. It took years. A part of it is, as you know me from years, from a couple of years back, that I've started it by research. I was already in footwear doing, obviously, integrating sneakers as it is, but also like I was really big on high-end sneakers. And then I found that I fell out of love with high-end sneakers, and I was like, I think I want to do that. And then going into being invited to people's homes, like Jerry Lorenzo's home, being able to have that opportunity to see his flow and process at the same time. And then we're just like, do I really want to do this? Do I want to help them in some way by coming up a new inventive way for people like him to continue to do what he wants to do, it as well as mine when I come up with like these spontaneous designs. But it does sound very strenuous. I feel like it sounds difficult telling it than it is opposed to doing it.
Sure, yeah. Well, a lot of it's just so like abstract for me.
It is. But that's like you and everyone else who's trying to understand the process. And I think once they put their hands in it and they'll be able to experiment it with themselves, I feel like they'll see how easy it is. And for those who've been in the design world of footwear, who knows that process, will find this way easier, than opposed to going about it the traditional way.
So is the main breakthrough innovation here like your guys's method of automating? Because I was looking into your website a little bit, and I saw that one of your guys' partners is like a 3D printing.
Yeah, that's ROP.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of our basis is just the ability to be able to do everything through your mobile device and have it automate any machine that you're near. So it'll automatically process or go to a decentralized station that will route your project to and be able to develop without having someone to be like, let me go press a button to get this to go. So a lot of our technology or improvement, if you will, is by phone. Everything utilized through your phone without having to go through an actual main factory and having someone who have a consultation about what design you want. It's all basically computed through your device.
Sure, and you just said it would go to the closest most machine.
Yes,
so
it will.
so is the idea of this that there would be like pickup locations kind of sprinkled around? So
yeah, I mean, aside from the manufacturing process taking no less than 10 to 20 minutes in itself, the user or the person who's downloaded they're able to create, or figure out what their delivery options are. So if you're wanting to go pick it up, we're hoping to see this eventually pushed to like Amazon lockers, or to the point of having Uber Eats drop off your kick. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of like where we're hoping our phases will go to, and hoping to have collaboration efforts with those guys or someone like them. I mean, there is FedEx and there is UPS, but it just sounds way cooler to be like, I'm Uber eating my shoe. You know what I mean? So, but yeah.
So is the idea there that you would be able to place an order and then get it like an hour later, basically?
Yes, you can. Yep. Okay. Absolutely.
So right now, is this specifically like an Arizona-based thing?
It is.
So
yeah.
It sounds like your main goal would to have something like this manufacturing these shoes in like every state, or multiple states, so then people from no matter where they are could just get it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. We want to make it exclusive here in Arizona because Arizona, we're known to not have much. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of cool gyms, like people who are here who's creating, establishing great things, especially like your platform. And we wanted to make it, so that, I mean, when you go to Cali, Cali got their own swag of things. And then you go to New York, they got their own swag of things. You go to Atlanta, everybody has something that's originated there. And I don't feel like Arizona had anything originated.
Yeah.
So I was like, it would be cool to have something like this, to me, is personally futuristic or in the future of it. Mm-hmm. And those who come to Arizona, and since they're always talking about we don't have much, they actually have something to do, especially when it comes to fashion or footwear.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's strictly for Arizonians, period. And those who come and visit, if they know someone to have that access, even better. You know what I mean?
That's cool. So do you want it to stay that way forever or just for now?
I know it's very hard. You're looking at me like, come on, D.
Yeah.
I do. I personally would love to keep it here.
That's cool.
Just because it brings something to Arizona. It allows us to have something. And I feel like the more and more we improve it, I feel like it brings exclusivity. So when people come to Arizona, they know like we're the hub to create stuff like that. And they're like, versus, I can go get it in LA. Like I really want it to be established here, but who's to say that, over time, like if we get bought out or somebody's like, we want to see this in LA and New York, we want to see it more elsewhere than Arizona, then we'll see where it happens at that time. But strictly Arizona right now.
Yeah. It's funny. You called Arizona like a gym almost.
Yeah, man.
Is that kind of like the idea that people will do their groundwork here, but then have to leave?
Yes, literally. They do it all the time. I have friends who started here and ultimately really would love to stay here to complete their work or just, get to where they want in life with their projects or just in their career, but always seemingly to having to leave to LA or go somewhere else to get notarized or be known for the work that they're doing. And I'm the opposite. I'm more of like, I'm going to keep going. I feel like I always say, like, if I can do it here, then that's a huge accomplishment, because doing it in somewhere else that it's known, it's a known platform for you to be picked up there or whatever. I feel like you're doing more of a greater good when you're here trying to push it out to a state that's not known to be the follower or to be the leader. So.
What do you make of it that there are so many talented people in one place, but then they're not able to stay? I mean, does that kind of to you speak more to just like a lack of like infrastructure to then like do something and properly like distribute work? Like
it could be. I think we don't have a lot of resources, here, but then again, it's like I think we do. It's just we don't know how to. I don't think anyone's tapped into it, but then if I talk to somebody who says, well, I did try to tap into it and I don't feel like we didn't have it all. So I went to I went somewhere else to accomplish that. So I just think it's a lack of resources. You know, we don't have many platforms like LA does or Atlanta or New York does or any of those high profile fashion districts or states, you know. They have those platforms to allow like artists like myself or anybody else like you know, or anyone to go over and be like, I want to create this and polish this, you know what I'm saying, and help them for it. It's really being routed elsewhere. So yeah,
it's weird because, like, you know, obviously you and I do a little bit of different things. Absolutely. You know, I'm doing like video and working with musicians. You're working with like physical objects, so manufacturing versus like digital distribution. But like, I don't know, with the internet, you know, more and more it feels almost like being localized somewhere like LA it can be a little bit unnecessary because anybody can upload to like Spotify or YouTube, but then it's like it's not like the people in power are here. So then it's like if you want to have like meetings or deals or, you know, be like available on a moment's notice, that's where people just wind up going to like one of these 3 places. And it's you know, I get it to an extent, but it's also a little bit of a shame just because I more and more feel like I'm surrounded by so many talented people. I'm like, we're all here. But you know, nobody around here like is necessarily giving us like money or distribution, so that it's like
not at all. Right. Yeah. And that's why they leave, bro. And it's like, it sucks, you know. That's why I'm saying we don't have all the resources like we need. But like you say, yeah, you're digital, you're more musicians. I mean, Aircapture can be Aircapture is digital, to be honest. It's to take away the effect of having to have something physical to do it. And again, it goes back to the whole sustainability thing. So, but yeah, more resources, the better.
So like I said, I might have you repeat yourself a little bit, but could you like walk me through like the customer experience? Because like I understand you're saying you have an app, you design the specifics you want, and then you get it. So does that order right now go to your guys' like main one facility and then it gets popped out and delivered? Or are you guys even doing orders and deliveries yet? Or are you still in the beta phase where
we're still beta? Yeah, we're still beta phase right now. We have our full launch in September.
Okay, wow.
But literally, like, here's the walkthrough. You download the app, right? You're on there. You sign in or sign up. Obviously, you're going to sign up because it's your first time downloading. You sign up. From there, you have a choice of 5 shoes that the team already uploaded for you to customize out of the 5. So it starts off like a Nike ID, right? So you're able to customize within the 5 pair of shoes that's in there. So if you have a Jordan 1, an off-white, like say you have an off-white Jordan 1, then you have a Travis Scott Air Max 270 Cactus Jack, you know, or a Cactus Jack, Cactus Trails. And then say you have your, you know, Cortezes. I don't know. You know, there's like a variety of different shoes. Out of those 5 variety, you're able to like take apart or choose which attribute or choose what aesthetics on the shoe that you really like, and then being able to place it on one base of a sneaker in itself. Once you like, you could, and when I say that means you can change 5 components of the sneaker. So you can change like the upper, you can change your outsole, you can change your midsole, you can change your toe box, you can change the eyelets, you can change, you know, the Achilles heel piece, like anything that you want to interchange or you want to change or intermingle different things to, you can. So from after you've done that, then you're able to then preview what you've established, right? To see what it looks like before you get it shipped out and printed. We'll also have a way of functionality where if there's a particular shoe that you've ultimately loved wearing the most, we'll take the comfortability of that particular shoe that fits and form fits your sneaker or form fits your foot as a base to know like that's what it's going to feel like when you develop it. Yeah. You approved it. You're like, okay, I like it. Get the 360 it, see it for what it is. You'll then know what the price is, of course. And then being able to then press manufacturing. Once you press manufacturing, you'll get a notification through your email or through your text to let you know, hey, your project is now being processed. It will take 10 to 20 minutes. And then from there, you know, you'll pay, you know, and after paying, you will then get another notification to then let you know what your delivery options. What do you want to have it delivered to your home, or do you want to go pick it up? And that's it. It's
That's really cool. It kind of sounds like a dream almost to be able to just, get like pretty much shoes as cool as you could want as quick as you can.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that was the push in the forefront. So yeah.
Yeah. What's pricing sort of like? I mean, I assume, you would want to make them as affordable as you can, but I know like in early stages of any business, you gotta, you
gotta skyrocket it. I know. And it's so funny because between me and my team, we're always discussing about pricing.
Okay.
Honestly, within customization, we know that, I mean, this is a one in a lifetime thing that is being built. So it's not going to start off very cheap. You're looking at anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 just to make one pair of shoe. But that's because it's customized. I mean, from every piece of sneaker that you really love. You know what I mean? So it will be that way. But we have a way where we can drop the price just like a traditional way when you're going to a manufacturer. Or I guess for the people who don't know about the traditional way, it's once you get your prototype, right? With our process, we don't have a prototype. It's ready to wear. So once you press manufacture and it gets done, it's ready for you to just walk out and walk in it. You don't have to analyze it and be like, oh, I want another one, or let me do another sneaker. I mean, you can, but that essentially becomes your one of one. So if you want to create a bulk order, we'll drop that price down, of course, tremendously, because we want to make it fair for you. And since, again, we're all about ownership, we don't want you being off of cost and then trying to sell it to your friends or your fans or however, and you can't do that because the price is so high. So it definitely will drop.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. Obviously for like the average person, that's going to be quite a bit of money, but I also understand that like they're going to be really custom,
absolutely
high quality. It's probably going to be something you take care of and have for a long time. And it's like a new technology and whatnot. So honestly, that makes sense. And I look at high fashion in like every other regard, and things get pretty pricey.
It does. But you got to think about it too. It's like when you're buying, especially for women and men, I don't want to just single it out, but like if you're buying your favorite bag, your Louis bag, it's not going to be cheap. So it's really about prioritizing what you feel is what you want. You know what I mean? You're going to buy your piece of furniture that's $5,000, you know what I mean? So it's nothing different except that, of course, it's sneakers. But it's all about what do you like and what do you want and what you're willing to spend for, And if you want something cheap, we're not taking away the option of you going to buy just a sneaker from, online from GOAT or anywhere from Nike's app, or Adidas app, whatever. You still have those choices. But now you have another choice where if you want to combine and create your own kick, you now know the price difference. It's like getting a car, Toyota versus getting you a Lamborghini. Just your choice. So
and let me ask, like, how? So if you're an individual, like you were before, versus like a company, I imagine an individual has a little bit more of like legal wiggle room to be modding things and combining things.
Right.
With you guys as a company doing this at scale, how do you get away with being able to put together like such big companies' shoes? Because like you were saying, like Lil Nas X, for instance, when he did the thing with Nike, like they were suing him, for instance. So how are you guys able to like work with these high level IPs?
Well, there's the fair use rule, and from there you don't take the heart of the work. We know, I mean, realistically, you're not supposed to take someone's trademark. So if the trademark is essentially the Nike sign, we're not taking the Nike sign. You know what I mean? When I say heart of the work is like, say you do have a Jordan 1, and most cases people can tell like if it's a Jordan 1 mix, or if it's coming from a Nike product line, or if it's coming from Adidas product line. We ultimately like the idea that you can pull those ideas, outside of that. But for us to get away, we're trying to make sure we don't appropriate, the things that they're doing, but at the same time, we also want to take inspiration off of what they're doing and build from. We don't want it to be where it's a side by side. It's exactly a Jordan 1, or it's exactly a Air Max. You know what I mean? On the case of Mischief with Lil Nas X, they kept the logo on the Air Max, and I think that's what caused the uproar. And on top of just the controversial aspect of it being a Satan shoe. That caused the most uproar. But for us, it's really just protecting you as a user and protecting the brands in itself that we love. But at the same time, just being able to come up with creative designs off of that. That's why there's a case where you can't really patent a design. Why? Because everybody takes inspiration from a design, and they always take a little bit of something and then being able to come up with their own.
So are you guys going to make them logoless then, try to make sure that they don't have like the Nike swoosh or whatever it is, so then it kind of truly does become its own thing. Absolutely. Just with different ingredients?
Yeah. So it will be logoless. It is. It's definitely logoless, and again, the different components of different sneakers that you put together, it's going to create a whole new shoe in itself. We're not here, like I said, we're not here to take, the brand's logos and then making it own. Now we do eventually, we do want to have authorization to utilize some shoes that ultimately Nike or Adidas or Puma or whoever or Reebok that don't utilize or they don't do great on sales with, or they just don't see another line coming out eventually in the near future. We'll definitely have authorizations for that. But other than that, there would definitely be logoless. You'll definitely tell a lot of it has been very much revamped and different. And that's what we want, because at the end of the day, it's going to be a dope shoe, depending.
No, yeah, that's really cool. And, like with, I obviously deal with fair use.
I know, right?
A bit, just like uploading to YouTube. And,
I know, bro.
I know fair use is weird because there's not any hard, fast rules on the books. It technically is up to the judge. And
Absolutely.
The main guideline that I've always been taught is that it has to be a transformative work.
Absolutely.
And it cannot be a market substitute for the original.
Absolutely.
So, in your case, like you said, it's not like you're just buying and reselling like Jordans per se. It's like you're having people create their own individual pieces. So it's not really a replacement for something else, but it kind of is its own thing and its own product. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and literally we had that on our IG where it showed like how does it work? Transformative, that word was actually one of the uses for fair use. So it is very much transformative to the T, and that's the whole purpose of Aircapture.
Yeah, and anytime I'm getting copyright claimed on YouTube for something,
it's not transformative, right?
Yeah, well, they let you file a counterclaim and you make your case, and then they have like 30 days to respond or whatever, and I'm always just using like the legalese, like this is a transformative video. I just used the song. This video is not a substitute for the song.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Versus, I feel like most people, like they're like high school students, and you're just putting like, this is my video.
Right.
Like I'm trying to hit them with like the right vocab.
And I hit them all with that. They're like, he really did study that. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you ever get business education, or did you mostly go to school for design?
I just mostly went to school for design. I went in as an industrial designer at Arizona State University. So they didn't really have a specific program for footwear.
What was your major? Just design?
It was like, I went in my freshman year, I got in as an architect, left that, couldn't do that. I didn't want to do building all day. They had introduced the program industrial design, and the way they categorized it was like being an inventor. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in one category. You can be within multiple categories under that title. So I was like, oh, dope. So I did that. And then I had to switch out of the School of Design because I was running track at ASU. So they were like, yeah, it's very time consuming on here and over at the School of Design because your studio hours, it takes up majority of your time, just like if you were running track. So you're going to have to figure out how you want to do this. So I ended up going into the School of Interdisciplinaries. It was like the School of Interdisciplinaries of Science and Arts or something like that.
Yeah.
And so where you're able to take two concentrations and combine them. It literally is my forte for my whole business, is just being able to combine and take two concentrations. Case in point, 2 subjects, 2 focal points, 2 sneakers to create one actual design or one actual focal point. Mm-hmm. And so, but anyway, I went in with that degree, a BA degree, and then I studied industrial design and mass communications.
That's cool. What sort of, like you said, they didn't have a specific track for sneakers. So like, do you feel like it was like pretty helpful to you, or was it just kind of getting like ancillary skills that are kind of related, but not direct?
It really was that. Honestly, I feel like I mean, it pushed me in a way to be a go-getter, you know, to figure out how to introduce things like that into these areas. And I so happened to run across Dwayne Edwards, who was the design director of Jordan at the time before he created the now Pencil Academy, which is really focused on helping people or individuals who want to become sneaker designers. But at that point, when I met with him, he was just like, yeah, I've never had any school or design experiences. I've just, you know, I've learned through this, you know, learned through my counterpartners or just people on the street, you know, I just love to doodle and design. And that's kind of how I started. And I respected him on that level because I was the same way. And even though I went to school, I still didn't get the necessary tools to know how to develop sneakers. So yeah, ASU it's a mini platform, but that's something where I'm hoping to change for them with Aircapture, is provide these tools for them, for their students that look to want to do something like this, and they'll have at least some form of tool and platform that they can utilize and create.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. You know, with college, like lately, I feel like so many people, they got like a little bit of skills that relate to what they want to do, but the specific thing they want to do, there wasn't like specific classes to it. And I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if it's, I mean, I definitely put some fault on colleges, but I honestly a lot, but sometimes I do wonder if part of it is just because people these days have such specific entrepreneurial pursuits, especially in the arts, and it's kind of hard for education institutions to almost like stay up with like all these highly specific things people want to do, especially if you're doing something that hasn't been done before, because it's like how do you go to
how do you go about that,
The reason I asked if you got any business education, I had to take one business class, but it was through the film school. It was business of media industries. And you know, sometimes I think like college maybe should be a place where like you teach yourself the thing you want to do in your own time, and then you go to school for a secondary skill that would help your main thing, you know?
I agree.
Sometimes I think like, what if I was like a business student, but then I was just teaching myself filmmaking, you know? I wouldn't have met the filmmakers I did, but then it's like maybe I could couple the two things together.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I mean, I've argued my way, you know, about that too, just with institutions that are not, like, I feel like they should incorporate that, where a lot of the students could just do it yourself type thing. DIYs, like classrooms where they have to literally go out and search. That would be a part. I mean, they do that in master's classes, right? They go research that stuff themselves and come back and write a report. But I definitely agree that there should be something like that implemented for, especially with kids who are trying to find their way into, or not kids, but you know what I mean, people who are going to college trying to find their way at what they really want to pursue in life. So, I agree.
What did shoes like mean to you growing up? Like, has this been your interest since you were a little kid?
No, bro. I was just doodling. I was doing art classes and stuff or art competitions with my sister, and crying when I lost. Yeah, I was pissed. No, honestly, I felt like I was following my sister at one point because she was like, "Oh, I want to be in this architect," and I was like, "I do too." And then when I studied it, when I got to college, and I was like, I'm gonna do what she says she's gonna do, and then I was like, I hate this shit. This shit is whack. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I was just getting the architecture major confused with graphic design. I remember, I was going to say, I remember there's these graphic design students I knew who like dropped out because the whole first semester they were just having them draw like perfect squares.
Yeah,
was it kind of like that?
Oh my God. It was, I mean, yeah, a 3-point, you're doing a lot. I can't even remember any of the terms that were used anymore. It's like literally, block that out. But it was like that. It was more or less, you had to really think about like, hey, if you're building a building, you have to think of the responsibilities of people who's going to be in those buildings. And I just felt like I couldn't get outside of that. Like I wouldn't be able to be very artistic in that direction,
So you said you had a little bit of an interest in architecture when you were a kid because of your sister?
My sister, yeah.
Do you think... did you gravitate to that just because it seemed like an avenue where you would be allowed to be artistic, or did you have a specific interest in architecture?
No, I never had no specific interest. It was really because my sister like loved it, and I was just like, I want to do what you love too.
Okay.
Because I'm over here like I don't know what I love to do, but I know I love to draw. I knew I loved like the arts. So when I tried it, and like I said, fast forwarding going into school, it was just like, she really liked this shit. Like that's okay, great. I don't want to be in this. So that led me to like find my passion.
Is that what she wound up doing?
No, she wants to do that.
Okay.
Which is funny. Yeah. No, she hasn't done it yet, but she wanted to. She ended up having 4 children.
Okay. Yeah.
That was like that was a lot of responsibility in itself, and so she just kind of had to wait it out. So for me, it was more like, okay, well, hey, guess what? I tried architect, bro. It's not what you think it is. and now, I'm like, guess what? I'm in industrial design. It's made way better. You might like that. So
yeah. When I was a kid, I grew up just drawing a lot too. I was lucky where my family was full of artists, so I was sort of encouraged to do that all the time. Was your family sort of embracing of art, or did you just kind of find it on your own?
I think they were. I think it was half and half because they knew I was a big sports head. Like I thought I was gonna be in the WNBA. That was literally like the direction I was going. I was always in sports. I played AAU, where I got to travel when I was young to play basketball, to run track. And I mean, that was the direction I was going at the time. So my parents thought, that was going to be the MO when I got to college and so forth. And when I changed it, it was like, oh, that was a nice turn. So
being an athlete seems like one of those things where so many people, it means a lot to them, like in all of their formative years. But then when you go to college, it's kind of that moment where you're like, okay, like, am I going to really do this? Because it seems like so much freaking commitment to be a professional athlete, like every day.
It is. That was when I was in class, I specifically remember my professor telling me like, so we want to move you up to the upper division for design. However, it's now between whether if you want to stick to running track or move up in the division of, in design. And I'm just like, can I do both? And they're like, negative, you can't, because it's very time consuming on both ends. So you just have to choose. But he was just like, but you're in the best shape of your life. Stick it out in track or stick it out, playing your sports. You can always come back to this. And so I took that, I took it as a heart because look at me right now, bro, like fucking thick now, like
yeah, you're fine.
I'm like I'm big. So at that point it was like, dang, that was the best decision because I don't know if I'll ever get back there in life like that fit. But yeah, honestly,
I think the pandemic kind of fucked with everybody's like physical
bro
output.
It like fucked us and left. Like that's what it's trying to do. Like I feel like very vulnerable. Like it's like having a one night stand and it just came and did its thing and left. And
because of the pandemic?
Hell yeah, bro. Like I've never thought in my life I'll be this big. And it don't look like I'm big probably to you, but man, I think as an athlete, when you were an athlete, right, it's like, dang, like I used to be fit and then I don't know where it goes. And
yeah.
So
yeah, I get that. I see. I was exercising pretty regularly before the pandemic, and then it's like you can't really like go anywhere anymore. No. What happened? I kind of went the other way, where I wound up like conserving my groceries because I didn't want to go in public. So I wound up losing weight just because I wasn't eating as much. Like, but it's not like I was like strong or healthy per se.
But bro, you looked good. Like I saw you drop, and I was like, dang, you dropped so much. So
that's funny. Well, you know what? I think you and I probably met in like 2018.
Yeah, bro.
And I think that's when I was a little bit more up there.
You did, bro. You was like telling me like I'm like on the verge of losing weight, and I was like, oh, okay, dope. And then when I'm looking on your socials, I'm like, this dude has really like dropped his weight.
Was I saying that back then? I was,
bro. You was just like, I feel like you went on a hiatus, and I didn't hear from you. And then when you came back, I was like, this dude is skinny as hell. Like, what the hell?
Well, what's funny is a lot of the people in my life right now, I think I met around that time. because I graduated school at the end of 2017.
Yeah.
And so now you and so many of the musicians I work with, I met in 2018.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that was kind of a weight gain year for me because I graduated college and I was smoking like a lot more weed and I was just hanging out with friends and shit. And like, I got a good job. So like I was kind of just blowing money on food.
Bro, yeah, I remember. He was like, bro, I got this job, bro. I don't know if I'm going to be able to video. I was like, all right, man, do your thing. I'll hit you up when you can.
Oh yeah, just like with me being busy and everything.
Oh yeah, you got that job though. You was like, it's a really good job. I'm like, dude, that's even better. Fantastic.
Yeah, no, I kind of had to learn how to balance having a full-time job and then like wanting to like go for it with like a media company YouTube channel sort of a thing. I've been in a little bit of a lucky spot lately where like it's been work from home for like a year. That's so I just edit stuff as they request it. So I've been able to do a bit of both, which has been really nice. Bro. But at the time I was busy.
Absolutely, bro.
Yeah. It's just funny though, because I feel like when I was in school, I was kind of around this weight. And then that one year I like got up there. So now there's a lot of people who are like, damn, you've lost weight. And I'm like, you just met me in the year where I was.
Right? Yeah. Oh man.
So you've been in Arizona this whole time then? You haven't really like moved away or anything?
I went to LA at that one time. Remember we did the Adidas thing. Mm-hmm. I went over there and I was really on the verge of working under Kanye's when they started doing the Yeezy brand.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because I remember at the Gallery 3 event that I made the promo video for. You had your big announcement that something might have been happening with Yeezy. So what happened?
So this, bad, right? So we were on the verge of bringing me on, and the gentleman that I was speaking to under Adidas was basically, and the representative under Adidas was saying that we were waiting on Kanye. And at that point, that's when Kanye was going through, I don't know, hell and back. I don't know. It was just going through a lot. So no movement was being done in those positions. And therefore, it ended up just decimating, like basically disappearing because they couldn't do anything. But they were like, hey, if it does come back up again, like we want to consider you. And at the same time, they were also trying to bring on Drake. So it was just a lot of commotion going on.
Adidas was
at the time. It was some commotion about bringing him on board. So it was a lot of waiting game. It was just a lot. And at that point, I was just like, maybe this is, to me, and my thought process was like, maybe this is God trying to tell me like I need to just focus on independence, to be honest. And I was just like, I feel like I can reach more people there than opposed to me being under a brand and being told what to do, which worked out because throughout the years, we started seeing like news about people who worked under Nike and Adidas and how they were being treated, and there was no diversity. And then it was just a lot that I was just like, that was the best decision of my life to just stick to it. And I'm happy for the direction it went, where I wasn't able to work under somebody yet, so.
Yeah. So just to be clear, it sounds like they had a specific like partner program where they were trying to bring in young designers, but then the program was just on hold.
It was on hold for a minute, bro. Yeah. I waited for a year. It was a year. And I was just like, what are you guys doing? What do you guys want to do? And then at that point, I was just like, I'm just going to continue to keep developing my craft independently.
Yeah.
And maybe I need to just stay going in this path because I feel like I can reach more people that way.
And their answer, more or less, was we're waiting on Kanye.
Pretty much,
bro. The world really waits for that. Yeah. Well, something that really inspired me. So I'm 25 right now. So I was a senior in high school when Yeezus came out.
Yeah.
And, one of my biggest role models artistically and just kind of workload wise is Donald Glover, Childish Gambino.
Oh my God. Yeah. That dude is dope.
Yeah. And I remember that same year, his big album Because the Internet came out, so he was doing a lot of press as well. And I remember something he was saying at the time was just like, I don't want a boss.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah, because he at the time had left the show Community, and that's when he was going to start developing Atlanta. And there was all these headlines saying like, Donald Glover leaves successful TV show to be a rapper, and he was like, "Listen, you're making it sound real bad."
Yeah, that is sound bad. Like I would feel some way too.
But the reason why when I graduated I didn't like immediately go to Los Angeles is just because I did want to give it a shot for a little while, kind of like running my own thing and seeing what I can do independently, since I am surrounded by such talented people. And so far it's been fun. Like obviously I have my day job like paying for things, but I recently started to monetize like some videos and whatnot, and I'm really optimistic. So I think any people who are willing to kind of take a leap of faith at like building something themselves or trying to be their own manager, I think it's it should be encouraged more, even though it's not everybody has the luxury to go for it because it's so expensive, but I find it a very noble and inspiring pursuit.
Absolutely, I agree. I think that's what played again. Number one was in my mind was like, do I really want to work under Kanye? Like, I don't know. Or do I really want to work under Adidas with Kanye? You know what I mean? Like, and that really pushed me to be like, let's just stick to what I'm doing. I'm on the right track. It's just a matter of, obviously, when you have the big push, it's easier to come out and say, yeah, I worked for Adidas or I worked under Kanye, and then get your name out the most. But I think it's just even more worth when you're able to do it on your own and get it out there, and then just the hard work that you put in. So
yeah. And, Aircapture and what you guys are working on with what was the partner again? Is it RLP?
RLP. Yeah.
RLP. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like very innovative technology, and it sounds like something to where like if you guys, do become a big success, Adidas and Nike and all these people, I imagine they would want to like work with you on, specific, special releases.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the goal. We don't want to seem to be like someone that they're going against or something, or competitively. We really are here as a tool, a resource tool for faster manufacturing, innovative more manufacturing, and we want to do it quickly. You know what I mean? Like, it's not to say that a lot of these bigger companies haven't thought of that, but a lot of their mission statements don't allow them, or just a lot of their heritage doesn't allow them to do things like this in this caliber, because there's what they're doing now is very successful and it brings them funds. So it allows us to be that partner for them if they decide to go in our route that, hey, we know we have a lot of manufacturers that's over internationally. We could work with, this new wave of manufacturing or pursuit of manufacturing this way to kind of put out some dope, Nike products, or something like that. Like that would be ultimate goal.
Yeah. Yeah. And, so when you were first getting started doing stuff all by yourself, by hand and whatnot, it was very design heavy, and like you said, you were looking at like what silhouettes would be cool, what features would be cool, and right now it seems like the initial phase of your guys' business is kind of putting the design and customizing process into the hands of the customer.
Absolutely.
For you, like, is your dream to get to a point where you can also be designing your own like Dianne Halloway shoes and having those on the store as well?
Absolutely. It really is. It is fitting for that. I wanted to have a process that was easier. I think because of like I said, the experiences that I had an experience where I had a product that I made and was called the Fallen Belide, and it literally fallen and sort of speak to the point where I didn't have enough resources and money, in order to produce my product. And the amount of time that it took just to get, from phase 1 of a prototype to getting to phase 2 was just a lot. And it was a disappointment, because I wanted to have product available for people to buy. And people still to this day talk about the Fallen Belides, and they're like, "Dope, that shoe was so dope. Like, when are you going to come out again?" So it really forced me to kind of think in ways to kind of come up with a faster process for myself, so I can do that. And Aircapture will allow me to do that. It will still allow me to still be a designer. And now I have a tool where I can go use and create my shit and dip. You know what I mean? And actually being like, hey, yeah, I can get this done in tomorrow. I can get this done in today. You know what I mean? How many do you want? So
yeah, no, that's really, really cool. Yeah. I mean, it's, I think about somebody like Kanye, where he, I think more than anything has a mind based around design, and that
Absolutely.
just happens to apply to different mediums, whether or not it's music or shoes, you know. So he's pulling from like what he thinks like would be designed well, and then he's using existing things to make it. But you know, for you, it's kind of like you're wanting to do that, but then also like create like a means of production.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and I've heard him talk, you know, so much about like, oh, I want to build factories. He's always talking about factories.
I know. Oh, I need infrastructure. I need something. All the time. Yeah.
So it's cool that you're kind of working on the two simultaneously. It honestly, like, I don't mean to like toot my own horn, but it kind of reminds me of like what I'm doing to an extent, just because like I want to make independent videos, but it's kind of hard if you don't have a mean of distributing it. So
bro.
That's why I wanted to make my own channel, because I'm like, well, if I can get this thing to be successful, then I have my own machine to put my videos into, you know. So it's cool that you would literally have a machine to put your shoes into and just like, you know, have them come out.
Zane, we're on the same wavelength. That's why we work with each other. I fuck with you.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. You know, I'm glad we met. It was such a random circumstance.
It was, but it was so dope because people still remember the shit that you've done, and they're like, "Where is he at?" And I'm like,
"Oh, that's really
nice. Go to his channel, bro." And I let people know. So that's why I was asking you earlier. I'm like, bro, like, what is it centered on? Because people still like they love this.
Like the channel that
yeah, bro.
I need to find like a short answer. Here's what it is. My main dream is to direct feature films, but it's kind of hard for people to as video makers to do that out the gates.
Right.
And so I wanted to create a platform that would just house everything I'm making up until that point.
Absolutely.
And, you know, some people might use things like music videos or YouTube vlogs or whatever as like a stepping stone to get there, but their heart isn't really in it.
Right.
With me, it's like if I'm going to work on a music video or like a fashion brand, like launch video or a podcast, like I'm only going to really do it if I believe in it and I'm trying to make it as good as I would make a movie. So it's like for me, I'm kind of treating it as a YouTube channel that operates like a streaming service. That's where dope, there's different shows, so to speak, or different genres and
that you can choose from.
Yeah, and ideally everything's getting better year to year, and it'll eventually be a road that leads to like movies.
That's lit,
you know,
bro. That's
so
dope.
Ideally it's just like a breadcrumb trail of like cool stuff.
That's fire though. I like that. And I mean, again, that's why I say we're both on the same wavelength. We've both had the same enthusiasm of wanting to create things for ourselves, to help ourselves. What they say about like make money work for you or some shit. So it's like the same thing, you know?
Yeah, like I think it's something like have your money make money for you or some shit like that. Which
like
usually is just people trying to give you stock advice, to be honest.
Pretty much. Hey, we're going to give our own stock advice for our own stuff, so why not?
You know what shoes of yours I thought were like really dope? I was looking back just into your catalog just to kind of refresh myself, and you had mock-ups for like just Phoenix Suns custom shoes.
You saw the Suns pack.
Yeah, those ones are so...
The Suns pack, right?
Yeah. I've said this before, but Arizona sports teams have like the best design and color palette. A lot of the retro shit is a lot cooler than a lot of new shit, of course, but...
That's what's up, bro. Yeah, bro, I'm actually trying to bring the Suns pack through Aircapture, which is really dope.
Yeah.
And it was funny how I did it, because that was the time that Suns was trying to... Well, they're in the process of changing their jerseys from Nike to actually a Jordan. So it was like a great way to guerrilla market the shit out of this. And I was just like, oh, I have a Suns pack sneaker that I've done that I thought would be dope. It was more towards D-Book that I wanted to like get a kick for, like do a kick for. So I'm like, man, if he only knew what I could do for this man. But
yeah, Booker was wearing those purple shoes like the whole season.
The whole season. But I had like, but you know what? I was it the purple? I think it was the
maybe
it was the Kobe's. I think.
Okay.
I don't know if it was the Kobe purple.
I just remember somebody was wearing bright purple shoes. That's all I remember. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not like really up on sports and basketball, but I watched the Suns this year because shit was going crazy.
They were going crazy.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I think once I did the Suns pack, it had nothing to do with them going that far, which was really dope. It was just great timing. And it was just even more great timing when they were switching jerseys from Nike to Jordan. And I was just like, it would be lit to do a Jordan 1, Jordan 5 mix concept, you know, for the Suns. So I dropped the Suns pack along the same time they dropped when they announced that they were doing the trade-off of the Nike to Jordan jersey. So people were like, when can I get these shoes? And I'm like, they're not out, motherfuckers, you know, but they will be. So,
well, something that I like about you is that you're definitely not afraid to like shoot high. You know, you'll design something as well as you can, and then try to tweet it at the people in the highest places and be like, I made fire. Look at it.
All the time, just look at it, please.
Yeah.
Hopefully, around this year, the year of Aircapture dropping, we'll have some heads turning for sure. So that's the goal. But I definitely appreciate you liking the Suns Pack because I fuck with the Suns Pack too, and I think they would too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, we gotta get you on one of those like complex like YouTube like shoe shows.
Let's do it. Hey, they did. They had me on Complex. I was on Complex Hustle, and then that was more or less talking about how I got into footwear and so much. And then they had another show that one of the directors hit me up. Really, really, really cool guy. He hit me up during that process, and he was just like, "Hey, we have another show, but it's more or less you proposing or showcasing your work,
Yeah, that's really cool.
And I was like, yeah, why not? And that was the time that I was really kind of showcasing the concept of air capture physically, where I essentially what we're talking about, how do you intermingle both sneakers, right? And I did that. I did like I think it was the Adidas, I forgot the name, which is so bad. But anyway, I had two pairs of shoes that I was already intermingling, and forming a concept. And I also did one where it was the Converse high tops, where it was a Converse mixed with a Yeezy 700 bottom. And that went crazy, bro. Like, it went so crazy. But on the show, like, the people that were, like, the celebrities that were, like, basically judging it, like, one of the guys, John Geiger, he was like, oh, I don't like that shit. I'm like, damn, bro. Like, but he's, like, pushing me to be, like, more, like, in the direction of traditional. I'm like, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to do anything traditional. And it was more or less because he was in traditional and he felt like that's how you would get the most respect. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get more respect for being individual and being innovator. At the end of the day,
it was just somebody being like, these are too weird.
Yeah, he didn't understand it till the shit dropped. And he was like, yo, that shit is fire. And I was just like, yeah, you got to be on the game, bro, like, to understand it. And that's basically what it is. But I proposed that, and that's how it got introduced. And then going with the Suns Pack, that's when I really like went in. So
you said you got to have dinner with Lorenzo. What was their name? Somebody big?
Oh, well, I got to go. I was invited to his home. His name was Jerry Lorenzo. I was actually being pursued for investment of a gentleman that was very close to Jerry, and so he asked me to come out to LA.
That's one of those names I definitely know, but I can't say it off the top of my head. So what my question was going to be is like, so you've gotten to have contact with, some of these like bigger people. Yeah. Have you been able to sort of start sharing the idea of air capture with these people? And if so, like, like, what do they think about it?
Not yet. And I think I want to do it in opposed to once it's done.
Mm-hmm. Have a more finished thing to share. I know that they will be apt to using it. I feel like just because they're looking for manufacturers. A lot of them are doing stuff overseas. So I feel like this process will be more hip to the game of just maintaining our, making sure there's climate change, all that such, and sustainability, keeping the carbon footprint low. And I feel like they will definitely fuck with this. Yeah, I saw that one of your guys' other partners, was it called the Higgs Index?
Yeah, man, we use Higgs. Higgs is a very great platform that teaches and helps a lot of brands that are in manufacturing to clothing, footwear, retail, what materials are very much more sustainable and really good to use. Nike uses Higgs as well. So it was just a great way, to maintain that effort of what every brand is doing. And we want to make sure the product and materials that we're using, even though we can recreate our materials through our process, we want to maintain, what's the best material to use and manipulate for us. So Higgs is definitely one of those platforms.
Yeah, that's really cool. I feel like I've been seeing just so much more lately, like talk about sustainability from the fashion world. I definitely hope that people are actually like putting their actions, where their mouth is, because people talk about things all day long.
Right.
Yeah, fashion's just so weird because, like, you know, it is an art form, but it does just use like so much material and manufacturing. It's like, you know, how much longer can we keep doing this? So I'm glad that people are working on like sustainable solutions.
They got to, and I think like right now, a lot of these big brands are doing great so far. I think we still have more work to do, of course. And I feel like shoes is a very big part of it because when you got Nike owning 51% of the actual footwear industry, they're the leading when it comes to possible waste, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day. And so it's like, how do we help them eliminate that along with what they're already imposing on creating a better future for us through product or through athletics and such. So for me, it's like, how do we create a better future for those who are sneakerheads in this realm already? Like you said, there's, you know, footwear has so many lanes, you know what I mean? Like, how can we create a cool lane? And I feel like with Aircapture in itself, we're creating a new language, a new behavior of manufacturing, so that people can adopt and utilize. We know it's not for everybody. We don't want people to feel like, damn, like, we don't like this process. I don't want a plastic shoe, you know, whatever. But, you know, it's really more or less, how do we make it cool? How do we make it to where you can still get your Jordan 1, but it's just in a different material, you know? So.
Yeah, and like you just said, so since it's being 3D printed, it'll be like kind of more of like a plasticky sort of material.
It's like so think about it's not going to be more or less like, I mean, it will be somewhat like that, but of course, because of proprietary, we won't get exactly like that, or maybe even better, if you will. But like the Yeezy foam.
Yeah, that's what I was about to compare it to. Yeah, like those are kind of like that foamy sort of.
Yeah. But the cool thing about who we're working with, I mean, it's MIT. You know, their extension of whatever we come up with that we want to reinnovate with the will for, we can. That's the cool part about us.
Well, I love everything you're doing. It sounds really good. I wish you the best of luck. If this, really gets off the ground, I think people would honestly love it.
Absolutely, bro. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Can I open the things that you brought?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
Go ahead, man.
Here, stay right there. I'll grab it.
All right, man.
Great. Yeah.
So they're both the same thing. So
I'll just do one. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Course,
so what'd you bring me here? Is this
I got you
Aircapture shirt?
A little bit of merch. Yeah, a little bit of merch.
Oh yeah, the packaging's really cool. Here, I'll hold it up.
Shout out to Tony.
I'll wave it around, and ideally it's visible. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, bro.
You're the second person to bring me something. Our friend Brock, who he was in the Marines. He brought me a Marine Corps.
Hey, that's dope. It's double packed, bro. It's made to make sure it's good. But we'll rip through that crap. But that's dope. You should, man. We're coming on your show, so why not?
Thank you. Yeah, no, thank you so much. Sick.
There you go.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I really like what you're doing with the font and like all the wave
trippy
warping.
Shit. I do a lot of trippy shit.
Okay, so this is like the back right here?
Oh, that's the back. The other one is the front. Keep it basic.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course, bro.
Yeah, we just did an hour.
Hey.
Yeah, that went by quick.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well,
I appreciate you.
Here we can wrap up unless there's anything else.
Nah, bro. I appreciate it.
Dope. Yeah. Okay. Here, I'll stop it. Okay.
All right. Cool.
I never know how to stop.